Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today is an amazing day. Sun is shining, but the temps are still very cold. So this particular episode, we're going to be focusing in on cold weather flights, how to minimize that discomfort, and what kind of options do we have. Now, I've been working specifically on an option that I think you're going to like. The other end of this, we're going to talk about the SP140 electric paramotor. Where are we at? What's going on? How soon am I going to have that thing back in the air? I'm probably just as excited, well, maybe more excited than you guys. Stay tuned. Cold weather flying. Some of you are probably thinking, I have no need to watch this. There's no way I will fly unless it's 60 degrees plus, right? Maybe you live in an area of the country where it rarely drops into the 30s. But for a lot of us, we have to either hang up the paramotor for the winter or go out and deal with the cold weather. Now, I've been working on a few options to help minimize that discomfort, and I'm going to talk about that here shortly. Last winter, 2020 to 2021, we really didn't have that cold of conditions here in Tennessee. There were a few days where maybe it got into the 30s and maybe even 20s late at night. I think we had 2 or 3 times when it got below freezing. I had to actually go out and turn the faucets off outside. Outside of that, it consistently is going to be in the mid 30s to mid 40s throughout the winter season, which is manageable. Once it drops under 32 degrees, I find that the chill in the air, it almost feels like it's 5 times worse than when it's 35. You know, just that little difference in temperature. So I've been working on a few options to help minimize some of that discomfort. Now, last October, if you haven't followed all of my videos, go back through. There's an awesome trip I took back in October, and I left Tennessee, drove through Arkansas, New Mexico, some of Texas, got over to Arizona, Utah, Colorado, did some amazing flying over there. Now, that time of the year, heading west, you're going to deal with some cold temperatures. 32 degrees was my record low for flying, but consistently I was somewhere in the mid 30s. And that was the first time I realized that my hands get really, really cold. I hadn't really experienced that before. Because that trip was so paramotor focused, I had to deal with it. I just suffered through it. Now, once I got back home, I started to think, how can I minimize some of that hand discomfort? You know, you can bundle up and wear a jacket and good pants and shoes, but our hands are holding that throttle, they're holding the toggles, and they're just exposed. Now, one of the things I bought a while back is this particular glove, and I'll put the link to where I purchased this in the description. What I like about this glove is it's very thin, and it actually, if the temps are above 35, 40, this is a very comfortable glove. My hands rarely get cold with this particular glove. Now, what I also like about it is it does have some grip. It's got this rubber texture on the palm and the fingers, which give you a little bit of extra grip when you're grabbing things. It's also got the touch-sensitive pointer finger, so you can actually use this if you're scrolling through your phone and whatnot. Now, I know that a lot of people put these on gloves and they rarely work. This one actually does work. So these gloves are pretty nice. I'm very happy with these when the temps, like I said, are in 40 to 45 degrees and up. After my trip out west, it was time to invest in some heated gloves. The only way I can really enjoy sub 40 degree flying is with heated gloves. So I went out and bought the Motion Heat. I brought these up in my last video, the Motion Heat glove. Now, these aren't cheap. They're somewhere around $150, and they've got a few different battery options, okay? This particular battery is the one that I went with. I think it was the middle one, middle of the road. So not the most expensive, not the cheapest, but this is a 12 volt, 3.2 amp hour battery. Now, I figure for most of my flying, I'm rarely going to be up in the air more than 40 minutes when the temps are that cold. And I've never had an issue with this glove or this battery as far as running out of juice, running out of power. So far it's been pretty good. Now, what I do notice, even wearing a heated glove, if the temps are below 32 degrees, your fingers still start to get cold. And it's just the wind blowing on it. Now, this glove is made to be like a liner, so you'd put it inside of a mitten or a thicker glove, which I would imagine it works excellent with that. But when we're flying paramotor, I don't know about you, but I don't like to have a thick, bulky glove on. That's why I have these thin gloves, and then these motion heat are about the same. They're about the same thickness. So you still have some pretty good feeling of your toggles and your throttle and anything else that you're touching with those gloves on. Now, one of the accessories I ordered with the heated glove was the neck strap. And it's basically a cable that goes around your neck and it runs down the sleeve of your jacket. And then at the bottom of that is the port to plug in your glove. Now you can plug the battery directly into the glove, but it's this big bulky battery right at your wrist. So I really like that option. You can just slip the batteries in your pocket and it works great. So one of the conveniences of having this kind of an option is that accessory of the cable that runs through. So one of the things I did when I was out west to warm my hands in flight was I'd unzip my coat a little bit and then I could slip my hand inside my jacket to help warm it up. If you had a heated glove, it would warm it up super fast because once it's out of the air, the cold air, then the heat would warm up and your hand would warm up and then you could take it out and fly a little bit more. So I started thinking, what could I do to create some kind of a sleeve that I could slip my hand into? It would have to be big enough so that my throttle hand could also slide into something just to get that out of the wind. So I came up with this idea. Now what I like about this sleeve is the inside is super soft. Now we'll be testing it out here shortly to see how it handles wind if the air actually blows through it. But it goes on really easy, so during the winter months I just Velcro it on. During the summer I can remove it. You can see my hand fits in the sleeve perfect. There's no issue there, no resistance. The sleeve is deep enough where you could put one of those warming packets in there. That would help keep that space nice and warm and help your hands warm up even faster. Now, of course, we don't want to be off the brake toggles for too long when we're flying, but the whole idea is to just have a place to put your hands, warm them up a little bit, and go back to flying again. So that's the goal here, and I'm really hoping this is going to work out because I think there's definitely a need for it, at least where I'm at and the type of flying that I do. Good morning. It is bright and early. It is 7 a.m. The sun should be up in about 20 minutes here, so we got another glorious sunrise. It seems like the colder the weather is, the better the sunrise is. So let's take a look at what we got here. So that looks like a lot of fun to fly into that. So let's get bundled up here. It is about 25 degrees this morning. I don't know. We're going to be testing this equipment though. Let's see how well it holds up in this cold weather. I was talking to you about the motion heated gloves that I have and this accessory cable that came with it. Well, you actually had to pay extra for this. The reason I bought this is the convenience. You put this over your head like this. It's got two long cables. These run down the sleeves of your jacket and then the ports plug into the heated gloves. This eliminates the need to have that big bulky battery right at your wrist. So we take this, we grab our heated jacket. I went with the Milwaukee heated jacket, about $200. To be honest, with as warm as this thing is, it's money well spent. How this works is we hold the cable in our hand, we slip our hand down the sleeve, and the cable comes out the other end. Same thing with the left side. And now you are wired up. So you've got this big batch of cables that are kind of hanging here now, right? This is what the batteries plug into. Let me show you how we're going to manage this. So the nice thing about this system is you really don't have to bring both batteries if you don't want to. One battery will power both gloves, obviously for half the amount of time. I'm going to bring both of them this time just because I'm not sure how long I'm going to fly this morning. And I don't want to lose my heated gloves. So for this particular setup, I just plug them in to the batteries. This jacket has a great inside zip up pocket. So I throw everything inside, all the excess cable, because we obviously don't want anything flapping around in the wind. Then I zip it up. Now that side is nice and secure. I can zip the coat up. Now let me show you the battery for the Milwaukee jacket. I've had heated vests and heated coats in the past, and they usually use a very small battery that doesn't last very long. Look at the size of this battery for this Milwaukee jacket. It's a little bit bulky, seems a little excess to me. It's just a battery that, it's probably the same one that's used in a drill or a saw, you know, something small. But the nice thing about it is it's got the power and it works. So they do design a little pocket on the side here. So basically it's got a cable, just like our gloves. We plug it in and we're good to go. Tuck that baby away, zip it up. It's out of the way. And now all we have to do is turn this jacket on. The touch of a button. It's got different settings for temperature. When it's this cold, I'm going to be leaving it on hot though. So before we get going this morning, it's going to be about 25 degrees out and it's going to be dark. We've got about 20 minutes before sunrise. In this area, I do often see air traffic, helicopters, some military planes, every so often. So we definitely want a strobe system in place. I have my normal strobes that I've been using for quite a while, but I just picked up some of the new PPG smoke, the 3 strobe setup. These 2 go in the wingtip. This one goes somewhere else. So I'm going to set that up and we're going to try it out this morning as well. Looking forward to having a little bit more visibility while we're up there. Now the objective of this morning is to test out these sleeves and see if they do make a difference in keeping the hands a little bit warmer. So looking at my sleeves here, there we go. So now I can get my hand all the way in there. The right hand works great. Easy to get in, easy to get out. The left hand might be a little bit trickier with the throttle because you don't want to accidentally hit your kill switch. Yeah, but it makes a huge difference. Your hand warms up so much faster once it's out of the air. So I can kind of use this other one as a buffer from the air, so it works okay that way, but I definitely need something thicker. Now I've got this off the grid throttle, so I can always set my cruise control too. Well, if it got really cold, I could set my cruise, set my hand in both pockets. Oh yeah, this is nice. So if I got too cold, as long as conditions are okay, I can store my throttle, set the cruise, and just put my hands in here, let them warm up a little bit. Yeah, it's cold this morning, but it's tolerable. The things you do for the sunrise. I will admit, having goggles makes a pretty significant difference in the overall just comfort. The thing I like about this off-the-grid throttle, so a couple of things. I added hour meter and engine RPM thing to my throttle. It's nice to be able to see that, make sure everything's running good. But this off-the-grid throttle has this nice dial here.
So all you have to do is turn it one way or the other to give yourself more RPM or less. It's pretty nice. You're just looking for a nice cruising speed. I just need to come up with a better way to stow it. Right now I just kind of overlap it in my harness just so it doesn't fly away. See, right now my hands, they're okay. They're not freezing, but I can tell they're starting to get cold. So that's what's cool about this sleeve is as long as conditions allow you to detach from your throttle and stow your brake toggles, you can just slip your hands in the sleeves and just give them like 15-30 seconds to warm back up again. Really nice. Yeah, there's no air getting through these sleeves. So the only thing I wonder is if I could make some kind of a ring to keep it open. And like I said, even if you don't have heated gloves, you could throw some of those warming packets inside, and that would probably make a pretty big difference just to bring some heat inside there too. But my hands are pretty much back to normal temperature now. So I go back to active piloting. There must be some wind up here. Oh yeah, I'm crabbing. So there's a crosswind here. Let's go this way then. The strobe system's working pretty good. I don't know how visible the wingtip ones are because they're behind fabric. And I just threw the main strobe in my pocket for now because I haven't decided where I want to mount that yet. So I'm going to kill my motor here, pull the trimmers in, and we're just going to have some fun gliding for a little bit. Once that sun comes up, it definitely feels a little bit more comfortable. So I know a lot of people who train other pilots probably are not watching my videos, but I do have some advice for the training process, and I think knowing this would really help people focus in on doing training versus trying to self-train, because paramotoring isn't about 2 weeks of training and then you're ready to rock and roll. The training process really just gets you in the air, teaches you how to get off the ground and get back on the ground safely. It really takes a couple months of consistent practice to build some of those skills to actually enjoy the sport versus getting up in the air and every time you hit a bump or the wind shears or you're crabbing and you're like, oh my god, how much pressure can I put on this wing before it's going to collapse, and what do I do if my motor goes out? All this fear that kind of exists in your head. And maybe that's not the case for all pilots. I'm guessing there's people who just get in the air and they have no fear, which, you know, maybe is an okay thing. I think a little bit of fear is always good. But anyway, the process of learning to fly is months and months. It's not 2 weeks in a class. And you watch your instructors and they're up there low flying and carving and wing overs, and you're thinking, oh, that's going to be me here very soon. but it just takes a while to get that comfort down. So what I like about my comfort level at this point of flight is I can do things like I'm doing now. I can cut my motor. Even if I couldn't get it restarted, I could land comfortably. I feel pretty good about the wind. If I feel bumps in the air, I'm not panicking. I've got 2D tied in, so I know how to use the brakes versus the tips. It's pretty cool at this stage in the game, and that's one of the things we should be reminding new pilots, that give yourself the time and the patience to get your skills up so that you can get to that point. If you don't, it's going to be years and years and years, and you're still going to have that discomfort when you're in the air. Now, another issue I have with the process of training is that we trained on Ozone Mojo wings, and these things had a pretty light trim range. I don't even think I ever adjusted the trims. Well, the wing I bought was a Spider, so you can see, look at the range of a Spider. We've got lots of room here. And with the Mojos, we always just came in and landed, no adjustment of trims, no thought of speed. It was just come in and land. And then I got back home, and I'm working on my skills, and my thought is I want to come in with the lowest trim. I wasn't really taught, or maybe I missed this, that speed is your friend when it comes to landing. You want to have good speed because that way it's a bigger flare, which slows you down faster. So the first couple times I came in with a Spider, man, I came in hard. Basically, I felt like I was going to fall over. One time I kind of tweaked my back a little bit, and I thought there's no way I can slow this thing down anymore. And I missed the concept that you actually don't want to come in slower, you want to come in faster. So it took me a while to build that comfort. The other issue is the Spider, the toggles are so low. So you really have to either tie them up or reach up high like I'm doing now. I reach up, put my fingers in between the 2D steering, and then hold on to the toggle that way. Now I did tie up 4 inches on these, and I'm doing this so I can get the best flare. So those are things we didn't really cover in class. For one thing, I didn't fly the Spider in class, and it's really, to me, something that they should talk about, because eventually people are going to adjust to bigger wings, and how would you know? There's no way for me to know. So the other thing I've learned after a few slip-ups is the importance of checking your windsock before you land. So we're going to just do a quick flyby here and see if there's any wind at all going on. It does not look like it, so we should have a nice easy landing here. We've also got some frost on the ground, so we're going to have a nice slide, I'm sure. Yeah, here's a little bit of turbulence here. There must be just a little shear of wind in this area. So, but spot landings are just so important. You got to learn this skill. And you see I trimmed out to neutral now, so I'm actually coming in pretty fast here, which is what we want. And then it's just timing. It's just understanding descent. Giving yourself a couple options. I'd rather do a quick carve toward the end versus trying to come in straight and then running straight into the house, So we're going to come way over here this time, so we can kind of swoop around. Now we swoop this way. I'm going to get out of my seat now. And I got kind of a plan, where do I want to end up? I'm going to do one swoop this way, and then come in this way. Just like that. It just takes practice. The more you do it, the more you get comfortable, just like anything.
As promised, I do have a little bit of an update on the SP140 electric paramotor. I shipped the motor, the ESC, and the throttle back toward the end of January. Paul and I have been in communication about this, and I want to talk a little bit about the process of getting this repaired, as well as just the whole idea of doing a review on a product. So the process of getting this repaired, Paul's been good with communication. Obviously, we're coming up on close to a month now, and according to him, he's diagnosed the issue. He's got the new parts coming. He did test the motor. The motor is working properly now. So I'll share the communication we had via text message in this video so you can kind of see what he was telling me. He took a couple photos, so it sounds like he was able to narrow it down, and he feels confident that's what the issue is. He said he had seen the issue once before, but it was pretty much an isolated incident. So I feel pretty good about getting this back and the repairs not leading to more problems down the road. So that's where we're at with that. Hopefully next week it'll get shipped back to me, so I will have this thing back up and running again, and I can do an appropriate video review on this product. Now, the other side of things, I wanted to share briefly when it comes to product reviews, because I'm getting a little bit frustrated with some of the reviews I'm seeing out there. Not just paramotor, but just anything. I just recently ordered a diesel heater for my tent. It's got the tube that goes out and you put it in your tent or your camper, whatnot. I've been looking at these for a while. When I do some kind of off-the-grid type camping, it would be nice to have a heating source when it's cold out. You're never really sure what you're getting in a review, but the review I watched, everything looked great. I'm like, wow, this guy is really praising this product. And so it gets to the point where I'm ready to buy, and I read in the description that he says this product was actually given to him by the company, and he's reviewing it based off of that. Now, he's not a sponsor, but he's being given a product to review, and he gets to keep it, of course. So it just makes me a little bit suspicious about the authenticity of the review itself. And I'm seeing more and more of that, because products are being given to YouTubers who have a lot of subscribers because they know that, it's a target audience, right? If I send this to this person and they review it well, it's going to look really good for the product and they're going to make a lot of sales. That definitely has some advantages if the person reviewing the product is very true and genuine about their experience with it. Sometimes I feel like it makes sense for the YouTuber to review the product and praise it well to establish a good relationship with that vendor, with that person, so that when future products come out, they're willing to send them more products to review. So then what we end up getting as consumers is a jaded opinion on certain products. So I'm not sure what the solution to that is. But the reason I'm bringing that up here is I have no relationship with OpenPPG. They have not supplied me with anything for free. They did not discount anything. So I want to be genuine with you regarding the overall concerns that I have, and then definitely the positive things that I'm getting out of it. So if you're ever in a position where you get to review a product and you're incentivized to review that product, my only plead to you is to be genuine and be authentic. And even if you're to the point where you're like, I can't review this properly, maybe just send it back, because it's not fair to the subscribers and the people who are putting their trust in your opinion on a product to kind of be swayed the wrong way because you're getting free stuff. So just something to be said regarding the process of review. And I just wanted to disclose that because, I want, when I review something, I want it to be trusted that it is good. I pay for the things that I buy and I review them. I guess that's probably the best way to look at things. If somebody is paying for something, out of their own pocket, they are probably more likely to review it honestly. If they're disappointed, hey, I wasted this money, I didn't get what I wanted. If they review it well, it means it was worth the money that they spent. So something to be thinking about. As far as this paramotor so far, I have not written it off. I'm very excited to actually use it and get it up in the air. The one time I did fly it, it was pretty cool. So that's where we're at now. Appreciate you guys. We'll talk with you soon.